This is Reimagining Our Region, your go-to podcast for regional insights and trends. Each episode brings together expert discussions on the challenges and opportunities shaping the Middle East, from economic shifts to emerging technologies. I'm Patricia Keating, Senior Manager at PwC Middle East.
And I am Amal Larlhid, Partner at PwC. We will explore how businesses in the Middle East are adapting to remain competitive, focusing on business model reinvention, sustainable growth, and the transformation needed to thrive in an evolving landscape. The scale of urban and infrastructure development across the Middle East is unmatched. With projects this big, managing costs, ensuring sustainability, and improving efficiency are top priorities. And of course, we can't talk about efficiency without mentioning AI. It's becoming a key tool in supporting these goals. But it's not a silver bullet. No technology can solve every challenge on its own. But when combined with industry expertise, collaboration, and smart policies, it can drive progress in productivity and decision-making. AI is transforming industries everywhere, but construction has been more complex to digitize. The industry has its own complexities, but the opportunities are just as big as the challenges. A lot has been achieved and even more is happening. So what's the key to accelerating this transformation? Today, we will explore how AI, and more specifically, Agentic AI, fits into this transformation. What's holding it back, and how can companies in the Middle East region make the most of this opportunity? To get into it, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Tilahun, PwC partner in Capital Project Services, also leading our construction technology practice, Ahmed Khafagy, Director of Data and Analytics in Capital Projects at PwC. Welcome, gentlemen. And Lee, if I may, I will start with you and just maybe look at the big picture when it comes to construction. So we know that construction is one of the largest industries in the region, and it contributes up to 12% of GDP, right? So the region has achieved a lot so far in a very short period of time compared to the rest of the world. But with demand still rising, there is a huge opportunity actually to build smarter, faster, and more sustainable. So from your perspective, where does the industry stand today and how technology can fit within this transformation?
Thank you, Amal, for the question. Well, I think context is important, right? So I think, as you mentioned, building on your opening, construction is a huge part of the economy, right? On average, globally, it's about 10%. And also employs about 10% of the workforce. In the region is particularly important, and in the kingdom even more, because it's a key enabler for the economic diversification that the kingdom is working towards as part of the 2030 vision. So it's hugely important, and the value at stake is massive, right? But at the same time, within that, the backdrop we're looking at within the industry is that historically it's always underperformed, right? So a lot of major projects are delivered late, over budget. Half, if not more than half of the projects do not deliver on the benefits that they were expected to deliver. And if you look at the productivity lag, right, it's one of the least productive industries in terms of the productivity improvements, again, is at the bottom of the list. Add to that the digital adoption and level of innovation, although it's improving, is nowhere near where it should be. And if you take some metrics, it's around 25% drop in productivity, cuts the company's margins at about 1%. And a lot of the supply chain in construction works at 5% margin or less.
Very thin margin already.
Very thin margins already. You can see the issue that the construction industry needs to address. Right? But as we look at what is causing these issues on projects underperformances, we've kind of cut them to about 10 key reasons. And by our assessment in PwC, about 70% of those can be addressed to some extent meaningfully through digital and technology.
Wow, that's significant, 70%.
70%. And that is anywhere from early stage portfolio optimization, looking at where should they deploy their money and all the analytics and all the insights that are needed to make investment decisions, all the way through looking at how do you do design efficiently, how do you procure and manage contracts effectively, and also how do you drive productivity during execution. So the whole value chain, there's a huge part that digital can, right? So the opportunity is there, right? The value at stake is big, and the barrier is no longer the tech, but more around the industry's ability to maximize on.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that this lag is due to the cost of adoption of AI and technology, or is it more a mindset challenge?
Yeah, it's a great question. So back in the day, the cost of technology was big, right? So it cost a lot for the technology was expensive, data was expensive, storage was expensive, the skill sets acquiring them was expensive. I think most of those are now easily available, right? Data's never been cheaper, technology's never been more available, and AI is actually democratizing and lowering the barrier even more. So the cost of not doing it now far outweighs the cost. So the business case for digital and technology, and we do a lot of this work with our clients, is becoming much more and more straightforward. So why is it not happening at the pace? Your question. I think what we need to understand is most of the time projects are seen as short-term, right? There's a start, a middle, and an end. They're not a core business that happens, annuity basis, if you will. And that means is that people don't plan and invest over the long term. And true is very much built on expertise and biases, right? So there's a heavy reliance on that, and there's a heavy reliance on leveraging labor. And when you're looking at this part of the world where labor is relatively cheap, so there's a tendency to throw more people at the problem as opposed to looking at a different way to address it. But the reality is skill shortage is a big thing, right? So globally, I did a study in the Middle East in 2018. I did a study in Australia in 2021. And we've also been looking at sort of the skills market in recent times. And it's not getting any better, right? I was just talking to an ex-colleague of mine in the UK. And one of the biggest issues that they have with the infrastructure spend that's coming up and defense, et cetera, is skills shortage.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the biggest opportunities AI brings and digital brings is automation and allowing you to do more with less.
And as you mentioned, Lee, so the cost of no action actually outweighs the cost of action. So it's no longer a luxury that people have to take action at this stage. So maybe just to come to you, Ahmed, and I mean, let's compare a little bit the construction sector with other industries. So, for example, we know that AI is making a lot of, the adoption rates in other industries like finance, like logistics, is far higher. How is construction catching up?
So I think one of the key differences that I witness between construction sector and other industries is the accountability for the AI agenda, right? So we've seen other industries appointing chief AI officers, owning the AI agenda and ensuring that it's progressing year after year for the last 10 years. I think this is not really happening. So no one is really owning the AI agenda. And I think some of the development companies are doing very well on the innovation side. I think the other dimension, I think, is about data readiness. So AI cannot work without data. I think other industries have invested a lot in building the right foundation. Data, building the right data governance practices, the data management, and building central data platforms, building knowledge bases. I think there is little effort that have been done on that aspect in the construction sector so far.
Yeah, just quickly building on that, right? So construction industry is one of the oldest industries in the world, right? So, and it's highly repetitive, very well standardized, data-rich environment. I think the challenge has been just not being captured and organized through history. So I think what I agree with everything Ahmed said is like, there's a work that needs to be done in terms of how do you actually capture unstructured data in a way that enables AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both for that. I mean, let's move to a slightly different area. When we talk about the power of third parties and ethical considerations, actually, when it comes to agentic AI in the construction sector. And I have an interesting example, which is, actually phenomenal. So you know this example really well. But for our audience, a UK company that is specializing in agentic AI raised more than 11 million to accelerate AI adoption in the construction sector. And just the benefits, so the benefits are actually mind-blowing. So they managed to save over 175,000 hours and more than $3.5 million, while also driving 6 times increase in adoption rates. So the one interesting feature actually of this platform is also integrating an AI-powered CO2 tracker. And I'm also always interested in the sustainability impact. So they help to reduce over 9,000 kilotons of carbon emissions across more than 700 projects. So that's really brings to life, the power of AI. But it also raises an important questions around developers, contractors, and all the stakeholders within that ecosystem. So if you have any views around how important third parties actually are in that mix or in that ecosystem.
No, absolutely 100%. I think if I take a step back, right? So the construction industry has been innovating, but in pockets, right? So they're mostly what I would call point solutions. But they've not been looking at is technology at scale in an integrated way, where AI would thrive the most. But to your question, right? So for this to be successful and impactful, you have to mobilize the whole value chain. Right? The clients that we work with can digitize, but they can't really leverage or maximize the impact unless the supply chain that serves them, the third parties, are actually linked into that. And that can go all the way down to the material suppliers. Although the focus of this conversation is around AI, you can look at material technologies and other things. So the construction technology is broader than that. So I think we're focusing around the digital one. So for example, if I need, let's take the view of leveraging digital twins and AI layers. For that to happen, the designers need to be plugged into it. The contractors need to be plugged into it. The suppliers need to be plugged into it.
The whole ecosystem.
So unless the whole ecosystem is plugged into it, you're not going to get the full benefit out of it. It's a journey. But to your point is one of the biggest things that AI does is drive productivity. At least AI, Agentic AI will come to it. At least AI's initial benefit is productivity. Through productivity, implicitly, you're reducing waste. And by reducing waste, you're driving sustainability.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much for that. And I think that you already this is a very nice segue to the next question around agentic AI. So Ahmed, what are your thoughts around how that is transforming actually the sector?
Sure. So let's look first at what is agentic AI. What agentic AI is basically the new evolution for generative AI. So we've been witnessing a huge adoption worldwide on Gen AI applications in the past 2-3 years. But what agentic AI is bringing right now is the capability to build AI systems that can work on behalf of human users, right, to achieve specific goals. And using very advanced reasoning techniques, very advanced problem-solving techniques. This is what has been released by the major large language models and reasoning models in the past 6 months. So it's very new technology, I would say, and it's as I said, considered like a next generation for Gen AI. So this is bringing a lot of opportunities for and disruption opportunities in the construction sector, because if you think, for example, about the project manager right now in the construction sector, they might get, for example, a work order, right? Currently, they spend like few days assessing the impact on the schedule, calculating the critical path, assessing the new scenarios, accepting or rejecting this work order. So with building those AI agents, they can really fast track this by executing tasks on behalf of the project managers, doing the analysis on behalf of the project managers. So it's not, the technology right now is bringing capabilities not only on the content generation and content analysis side that traditional Gen AI applications used to do, but now we're bringing more execution and more leveraging, of course, on the the wider IT capabilities with integration with robotics, integration with line of business applications like ERP, CRM, project management tools, all the tech stack. So it's bringing a lot of opportunities in building those AI agents, serving the different roles within the industry, in gaining more productive and definitely enhancing overall efficiency of the operations.
I just may build on that as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about skills shortage, right? And one of the fears about AI is replacing jobs.
That was going to be my next question, actually.
Go for it.
Yeah. Just because, I mean, talking about AI agents, talking about digital twins you mentioned earlier, like there are a lot of discussions around how long are we going to be relevant for? 2 years, 5 years, and then are we going to be completely replaced? So yeah, so any insights? I mean, this is relevant for construction, but also for wider industries.
I mean, Ahmed can talk more about that. I think just more of a layman's view from my side. So around about 2016, 2017, around that time, there was a study done around different industries, how much of the activities done by those industries can be replaced by technology. This is before generative AI. And at that time, around 47-48% of the activities done in construction at that time can be replaced by the technologies that existed. Fast forward to today, the amount of activities, remember, I'm not saying jobs, activities done by individuals, I would say is significantly larger now, right? Way more than half. What does that mean? At the moment, the pace at which capital is being spent, projects need to be cleared, and the skill shortage that exists is, let's say the clients only have 25 people, but they need 100 people. What AI and Agentic AI allows you to do is not replace the 25 people, is help you deliver 100 people's work with the 25 people that you have. So it takes away the constraint in the system. It's not necessarily replacing jobs. Because one of the reasons why it's going to be hard to replace jobs is a lot of the data, because construction industry has a lot of inherent risks, right? The cost of failure of things is huge. From a cost angle, safety angle, public liabilities, all that. Right? So at the end of the day, the human needs to be the control measure within the system. And there needs to be a verification and validation of what the technology is doing. Over time, that will become less and less. But my view is the role of the person will change, and we would do less administrative stuff that can be automated. And that means that we can focus on the things that add the most value and continue to drive productivity and improvements in the sector. It's an opportunity. At the moment, when we're having conversations with our clients on, disruptive ways to do things, they're just too busy doing their day job. They haven't got the time to look up.
Yep.
And the job that they're doing is not the most value-added, but it needs to be done. But this frees them as well, right? So if you automate a lot of this stuff, it helps prioritize their time and attention on things that actually has value. So for me, I'm excited about what this means in terms of for the industry.
Yeah, and I think maybe I will come to you, Ahmed, in a minute, but what we don't talk about enough is actually the new jobs that are created as part of the AI adoption as well.
Right.
Because there are a lot of jobs that we didn't have before that are now being created. So it is like a transformation of the workforce as well. So
Exactly.
Please, Ahmed,
This was exactly my point, that, there are definitely fears of some job replacement, but there are opportunities as well of creating new jobs. I think I always say it's up to us. How are we handling this reality? AI is becoming, the new reality that everyone has to face. And the more relevant we decide to be with coping with the technologies, we will definitely have a lot of opportunities. The fear is on people who do not really catch up with the advancements that is happening. This is the main risk. And I think having all these opportunities actually in the construction sector, is again, sponsorship. Executives need to look very carefully and plan ahead on all these opportunities in the coming few years, because again, the reports coming from Gartner, from all the analysts about the opportunities in this agentic AI specifically is huge. And I think again, everyone needs to get part of this.
Yeah. So just quickly on building what Ahmed is saying, in the past, AI is not new, right? I'm not a tech guy.
50s, yes, in the 50s.
I look at technology more from the business angle, right? How do I solve my clients' problems? But it's not new. But people didn't know about it because it happened in the background. They knew of it probably, but they weren't interacting with it. What generative AI has done is actually brought it out of the back room and actually brought it to the front, where everyday people can now interact with AI, ChatGPT, generative design tools and stuff. It just made it very easy and accessible. What does that mean? Now people are a lot more aware of the potential of technology than they were before. So that's a good thing, right? So it's driving productivity. And in talking with Ahmed, one thing I've learned about what agentic AI means is, it's essentially you're moving from you doing the work and becoming more productive, you're having somebody else. Essentially, agentic AI is not a tool, it's an assistant. Somebody say that, which I liked, because that's what it is. It's not a tool that you use, it's an assistant that will do things for yourself.
Exactly.
So if we talk about a couple of use cases, let me kind of throw out, say, procurement agent, right? You could get to a point, and we're probably almost there now, you can have a procurement agent that would draft the initial RFP based on all the information and the requirements, that will send that RFP through for comments, right? Distribute it to get the right feedbacks, incorporate the feedbacks, issue that to the market, receive the bids, evaluate them against the RFP, send it around for comments, put it through the approval workflows, all the way through to the award of the contract. Even beyond that, on the commercial side, it can assess payments, submissions against the contract, it can assess claims against the contract in a very automated way with minimal interaction with humans, but humans being plugged in as part of the workflow to get approvals.
This is really interesting, actually, Lee, and it brings the question around risks, and accountability that was mentioned earlier. So, for example, in this specific example, it's a beautiful example where AI can actually, remove a lot of inefficiencies from the process, accelerates, the whole process from end to end. But how about if something goes wrong in that process? Who is going to be accountable for that? And I think, maybe either for you or for Ahmed, I think that question of accountability is really, really important.
I'll start. If you may. So on the approval workflows, so once the RFP is drafted, for example, it gets distributed. And a lot of the time, it gets distributed to humans who have to review those documents, make comments on them, make sure they're comfortable with what's there, add to them, take things out, amend, send it back through the system. The AI would then collect all these feedbacks, update it, send it back for approvals, et cetera. And then once it gets approved, so those control points are there, right? Mm-hmm. If the bids come back and it's doing the evaluation, it does the evaluation assessments, it has to be sent through the approval workflows and human beings. So human beings are then spending their time and energy in providing value-add feedback. And a lot of the hard work has already been done for them. So their time and energy then spent on the things that matter, right? The things that can be improved, the key. So it gives them time to think and improve things as opposed to just getting paperwork out of this.
Absolutely.
Sure. So on technical terms, there are two key mechanisms to that, what we call human in the loop and human on the loop. So these are design principles that needs to be considered when designing and building those AI agents, that whenever the AI agent is analyzing data, analyzing content, and trying to take some decisions, they can interact with their human users on that decision, right? And once they get more trained and they become more mature, then human on the loop, so they can actually land to a decision and just give it to a human user to approve it or not. So in principle, business professionals should always be accountable for any decisions that is autonomously taken by AI agents. This is in short term.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And thank you so much, both. I mean, this is fascinating and I could actually go on. But this is all we have time for today. So thank you so much for these valuable insights. We have covered a lot today. How AI is shaping construction, the bigger challenges the industry faces, and the role of collaboration in driving progress. One thing became very clear from the conversation. While AI is a powerful enabler, it's not the only piece of the puzzle. The future of construction will be built on a mix of innovation, strategic thinking, and the ability to adapt. A huge thank you to my guests, Lee and Ahmed, for sharing their insights. And of course, thank you to everyone tuning in. If you found this discussion valuable, don't forget to share, subscribe, and stay connected for more insights.